All right, what do you say we just hop right into it as we do, guys? What's going on? I appreciate you joining me. Welcome back. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Hit the like button as you always do on the way in. Subscribe to the channel as you always do on the way out. It would be fantastic. We're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. Lots to talk about today. Some good, some bad. Even when there's good news, there's bad news. I think I have something for that, actually, right? Like, even when you got to talk about some great things to see, there's always something behind the curtains. There's always something behind the scenes that's negative, some negative impacts that you got to discuss, and we'll be talking about, unfortunately, a lot of that today. So yeah, this one right here.
Bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
Pretty fitting for today, but I appreciate you guys. What do you say we bring in the chat? Carol, how are you, my friend? I appreciate you. Susie, what's going on? What's up? Nicholas, Dawn, how are you? Petrazi, John from Vegas, let's fucking go. What's up, Roxanne? Tracy, Kyle, how are you, my brother? WWJD Gamer, the whole crew. Appreciate the mods that are in there as well. Thank you so much for keeping that chat a safe space for everybody to engage in a dialogue in there. But again, lots to talk about. Obviously, it's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. We'll be talking about, Trump's premature victory lap supported by the media. It's just in his utterly embarrassing kind of, I don't know, round the world trip, if you want to call it, he took, and everything that happened in between. We'll be taking a look at a lot of clips from that going on. The Gaza ceasefire, has it already been broken? Credible reporting to suggest that it has already been broken, if not by one side, but by both sides, seemingly in one way or another. We got Sean Duffy trying to threaten and intimidate the No Kings protesters, but in my opinion, just kind of gave Antifa much more credit and much more power than we deserve and that we have, because there is no such thing as an organizational Antifa. But I don't think his Republican colleagues, I don't think the people in his party are going to be too happy with the power that they've bestowed upon us, apparently, that we now have, and the money and the funds that we have. Trump forgets a White House reporter when he's on Air Force One with her after he had just given her an interview, I think an hour-long interview, not long before that. So that's kind of weird, stemming after Donald Trump's visit to the hospital for his, quote unquote yearly checkup that he has like 4 times a year now. So, and then he's also talking about, not going to heaven. So I don't know if like death is on this guy's mind. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what news he heard at the hospital during that side trip, but we'll be talking about that as well. Trump demanding a pardon for a war criminal. There's so much, sending U.S. troops over there, protesters. We'll be talking about, what's this last one here? So much on there we'll be talking about. But can we start it off on a funny note? Can we start off on a bright note? There's going to be a lot of bullshit that we're going to be talking about. There's going to be a lot of, heartbreak, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger, a lot of confusion, kind of pulling us in both directions of, with the things that we'll be talking about. Can we start off with a little bit of humor, a little bit of, on a bright note? Can I pull it? Let me put this on the stage for you. Let me put this on the screen for you guys. Oh boy, you're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one. I should say right off the bat, okay? Right off the bat, if anybody's squeamish, or if anybody has any, I don't know, say like young kids in the room, you might want to either ask them to leave or kind of avert your eyes for a second. Because what I'm about to play is not the most satisfying sight to see. And again, if you're squeamish, it might get to you. But let me put this on, because Time Magazine... Come on, bro. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah. Time Magazine has decided to honor Donald Trump again in this preemptive, premature victory lap that the world is seemingly doing when, again, only phase 1 of this deal has kind of gone as it's supposed to. And again, phase 2 seems to be a huge sticking point that we're not going to get over already. But again, we'll get into more of that. But Time Magazine for, I don't know, what is it, the 3rd, 2nd, 4th time putting Donald Trump on the cover. And again, I think they're trying to do it in, not a demeaning way. I don't think they... I don't know. I'd like to speak to whoever chose this picture, and maybe they did it differently, but I don't think Time Magazine on the whole here was trying to get one over on Donald Trump. You can see, let me put this, because there was this that I laughed at too. Let me put this on the stage. This is OAN, right? And this is them praising Time Magazine and kind of, going over it and saying what it says. And then we'll get into, after this, we'll get into Donald Trump's reaction I can't even look at it, to this cover. Ready? But here's OAN. Let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll get into Trump's reaction to it. Hey, check this out. Ready?
Time magazine making President Trump the cover of its next issue. Time unveiled the first peek of the November cover on Monday with articles titled His Triumph and The Leader Israel Needed. This comes as Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners have been returned under the first phase of President.
All right, so they think it's great. They love it. They think it's, it's a good thing. They're proud of their leader. They don't see anything bad about it. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he's got an issue with it. He doesn't like the way he's coming across on that one, apparently. Let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys here. Maybe that one. So Donald Trump put on Truth Social 10:36 last night. Time magazine wrote a relatively good story about me, but the picture may be the worst of all time. They, quote, disappeared my hair and then had something floating on top of my head that looked something like a floating crown, but an extremely small one. Really weird. I never like taking pictures from underneath angles, but this is a super bad picture and deserves to be called out. What are they doing, and why? It's funny that he never, ever once mentions the neckgina, the mangina that he's actually pissed about. Like, I don't think he could actually give a flying fuck about how his hair looks in there, because his hair is pretty much translucent anyway. So when you take a picture at that angle and the light's shining through, that's just how it's going to look when you're 80 years old and, again, have translucent hair. But I think what he's really upset about is the non-flattering neck, the neck look that he's got going on there. I mean... Oh, it's too good. It's too good. Even when they're like attempting to praise the guy, like there's still something about him that he doesn't like. Like, he hates himself so much that he can't even accept the praise. I mean, that is terrible, though. That is decisively terrible. Terrible. Oh boy. But I figured we'd start it out because we get a lot of bullshit to talk about. I think there was some comments here. Let me see if I can put this on, because I think Midas Touch had a post, and there was some pretty good comments. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go. Let's see here. He wasn't ready to give a full frontal of the nussy. Great photo. His full vulva is on display. People commenting on it. A little AI. Any other good comments? Oh, shiza. That's a good one. I mean, that's just a good. I'm just sorry. That's a good one. I gotta say, that's a good one. Grab him by the neck. There's a bunch of them. I think that one's from before, but you get the idea. Donald Trump not too happy with the unflattering picture that Time magazine chose to put on their cover. Oh, Jesus, how embarrassing every single time. All right. So I just kind of wanted to start that off on a relatively high note, get some blood pumping, get some smiles flowing in the old chat there. Let everybody filter in. But a lot to talk about. Like I said, there's a lot of embarrassing moments, like from Donald Trump, pretty much just outright talking about the bribes he received from Marian Adelson, and stemming from her husband, and moving the embassy in the Golan Heights and the Abraham Accords, to, again, calling for a pardon, demanding a pardon basically for a war criminal that, above and beyond the crimes in the war that he's wanted for, is responsible and wanted in his own country for corruption. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm pretty sure nobody has any power over the Hague as far as war crimes are concerned. I don't think anybody has the power to pardon anybody from the Hague. So I think we're okay, and as far as that is concerned. But just having the president of the United States up in front of the world, up in front of the Knesset, up there talking about a pardon for, again, somebody who in their own country is deeply unpopular with his own people, calling for a pardon is ridiculous. Again, just it goes to show that Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu are set to face absolutely no consequences, no repercussions, and face no justice for the egregious acts that they've committed against the people of Palestine. And it's just going to be, wash your hands of it. Everything's going to be, hunky dory. But again, I have been saying on the show for a long time, we're taking this step by step. We're taking this whole process with a big and like enormous grain of salt. And I am only going to report and talk about the things that have actually happened, as opposed to, again, the media landscape on the whole, ready to kind of bestow peace in the Middle East at the feet of Donald Trump. When we are so far from anything resembling peace in the Middle East, it's not even fucking funny, right? So we have so much more to go, just in order, like, I want to impress upon you, like, just how difficult it's going to be just to keep this ceasefire. I mean, we're already seeing it. We're going to report it here. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Thank you, Big Steph fan, though. But thank you so much for the 10 gifted. That's amazing. I appreciate you guys. Just like Carol, there's a ton of different ways you can help the channel. I always forget to say it. You can hit the Venmo. You can do a YouTube membership just underneath me, $2.99, or you can check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Boston Brian. Gifted memberships, super stickers, super chats. Great way. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for reminding me, and thank you so much for your contribution. But yeah, I'm not ready to, again, throw flowers at anybody that is undeserving of those flowers. And it's ridiculous for anybody to, again, with the track record and the history of Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel of reneging on ceasefires on any number of countries that we can talk about. Not only that, but the other party in this being Donald Trump and his willingness to overthrow democracy in our own country. Like, excuse me if I'm not ready to lay, and just kind of like lay down at these people's feet and be like, yep, you're 100% right. You got peace done, even though we're not through even phase fucking 1 or 2 yet. But again, it seems like everybody's more than willing, and I kind of understand. On one hand, where it's like everybody is so ready to see the death and destruction ended. But again, we want to see a long-lasting peace. We want to see a peace where people are able to come back into their territories and rebuild their lives and not be living in fear of a strike coming at any moment or an oppressive regime taking over their territory at any moment. Like, the whole point of this is to have a long-lasting peace, and it's going to be incredibly difficult just to keep this ceasefire going. Never mind get, again, phase 2, phase 3, and the rest of this entire peace deal done in order to consider this, wrapped up and good to go, because that's seemingly what Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, and even some of the other, left-leaning mainstream media are ready to kind of crown Donald Trump with this huge achievement. And is like, I'll just say, as great it is fantastic to see not only both the Palestinian hostages returned to, what people are considering their homes and calling their homes, which is laughable, because again, I'll show you what Gaza actually looks like compared to, again, what and seeing the Israeli hostages that were held in captivity, seeing them go home to their families is great. It's a fabulous sight to see. I am fucking so happy for the families that got to be reunited with their loved ones. But again, there are already cracks forming. There are already signs to say that, even on both sides, that this ceasefire and then the peace deal on the whole is on very, very shaky grounds. But let's just get into a few of these clips from, we'll be talking about it, Don C. We'll be talking about it. Because, there's been reports of already 5 or 6 Palestinians killed by the IDF, even after this ceasefire had taken place, both sides saying that the other side kind of violated the ceasefire in either crossing crossing a certain territorial borderline. The other side, obviously, being the Palestinians saying that they did not cross, and both going back and forth. But we can see how easily this thing can be set to kick right back off with just the smallest little spark being set. But let me put these on the screen. We'll go over a couple of these, embarrassing clips from this asshole yesterday on the world stage. Let me see if I can put this in. Yeah, we'll do it there. All right, so this is the first one here I want to show you. This is where Donald Trump just outright in front of the world comes out and admits that basically he's been taking bribes. He's been taking money in order to affect policy for whoever or for whatever reason. Here, calling out Miriam Adelson and telling her to stand up and talking about her net worth, and basically saying she's the main reason. Her money is the main reason in which we have the embassy moved to Jerusalem, again, the Golan Heights, the Abraham Accords, which one can argue was, directly led to some of the actions taken on October 7th as well. So let's see if we can, excuse me. My apologies. Let's see if we can get into just a few of these clips. There's a bunch of them here. I won't subject you to too many. I'll get through as many as I think we can get through. But again, I should do this. Before I show you that, I just want to remind you when we're going to see, hostages from both sides. And again, it was the 20 released by Hamas, the 20 living released by Hamas, and we still have that sticking point that I talked about on the show. What's going to happen with the deceased hostages, the hostages, the deceased hostages, where their whereabouts are unknown. We already have clips and tweets and rhetoric and comments coming out from Israeli officials, seemingly looking like they're going to use that as justification to imply that that Hamas has again reneged on this deal, like we said was a possibility. Now we'll take a look at that, and I'll let you guys decide for yourselves. But this is again what the hostages, the Palestinian hostages, are going home to. I know a lot of people are saying they're going home. This isn't going home. Okay, this isn't going back to anything. This is going back to total devastation, a land not suitable for fucking human inhabitation, right? It's not fit for human life. It's not, no running water, no plumbing, electricity. You can only do so much in order to make it. And I know we looked at a couple videos the other day of people trying to, immediately move in and, seemingly having some four walls to live in and trying to make it their own and look, livable again. And that was wonderful to see as well. But on the whole, the grand scale, when you got 85 to 90% of your entire fucking homeland destroyed, utterly destroyed. And again, this is only going to lead to the death toll going up exponentially day after day as more people are sifting through rubble and finding it, and finding victims and stuff. So this is going to, we're going to finally start seeing what the actual death toll, or at least the difference between what we're hearing now and what the actual death toll is, because as I've been saying on the show, I fear and have all the belief in the world that the death toll that we're hearing now is egregiously underreported from what is actually real. But here, just a little taste of what these, again, the Palestinians being released from Israeli captivity. I believe it was something around, was it 2000, if I'm not mistaken? So you can see the kind of discrepancy as numbers in numbers as well. But this is what they're supposedly going home to when you hear that they're going home. Okay, so check this out. This is home. This is what you're coming home to. Just absolute devastation and destruction everywhere you look. So, just keep that in mind, because, a lot of people want to kind of implant this picture in your head of people going back to their homes and hugging people in their living rooms as they get cooked a nice meal, sit down for a movie with their family for the first time in 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. And it's just, it couldn't be further from reality. Couldn't be further from, what they're actually, going back to. So again, just to kind of let me throw this on the screen just to kind of show you that, just to give you an accurate depiction, so you can keep it in your mental notes as you're hearing some of this bullshit come out of this guy's mouth. My apologies. All right, so let me put this on the screen. We'll play this. Just a couple clips of this idiot. Again, this is the one where he's talking about Marianne Madelson, the money that she contributed, and basically her being the reason as to why such monumental or such huge United States policy was undertaken, because of this one woman, because of her rich husband, because of their ability to get meetings at the White House. Check this out and listen to this bullshit. Again, how this is even being discussed outright in open. Again, we talk about it here that a lot of this moron's problems is saying things out in the open that normally would have taken place or been said behind closed doors in smoke-filled rooms with people fucking holding whiskey and cigars and shit, right? And this guy just comes right out and fucking blurts it out, which puts pressure on his team. I'm sure his team is shitting themselves lately because he's kind of been on one. But let's take a look at this clip here where he's basically letting the cat out of the bag, just telling you outright that he's taking bribes, and that one single family, one single rich couple is responsible for the monumental fucking policy changes in United States policy, foreign policy. Here we go.
There was a lot of pressure put on these presidents. It was put on me too, but I didn't yield to the pressure. But every president for decades said, we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem.
Literally pointing her out in the crowd. Literally pointing her out in the crowd. Like, yep, because of you. Because of you and your rich dead husband there. Yeah, that's why we did that. How about you stand up? Did you bring your $60 billion?
Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up. Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I can think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently. She's got 60 billion in the bank, 60 billion. And I think she's saying no more.
And you'll kind of see that being a through line, a theme in his trip here, because he also talks about the unlimited wealth, the unlimited funds that the royals and the rich people that he met over in Egypt as well had, because that's all he thinks about is money. That's all he cares about is money. Day in and day out, that's all he talks about is like being able to profit off of these things, being able to somehow be, rewarded himself for these activities.
And she loves Israel, but she loves it, and they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me.
And listen to what he says about how he's asked, he pretty much asked her point blank, do you support Israel or do you support America? And she didn't say anything. So to all these America first morons that follow Donald Trump because he thinks he's America first, then he's basically talking about taking billions from somebody and giving them policy, United States foreign policy changes basically to them individually, to somebody that outright says they don't support America, somebody that won't outright say they support America over Israel, right? So pretty much, and Donald Trump acknowledges here that, he knows that she has Israel's best intentions over the United States, over America's, but Donald Trump doesn't care because she's got $60 billion in the bank. So all the MAGAs that may be watching this later, anybody that may be lurking in the chat, can you somehow fucking explain that one, how Mr. America First doesn't really seemingly give a shit if the person he's taking money from and giving policy changes to that affected fucking, a wide-ranging aspect of things in the Middle East, that he's now taking money and giving them all the benefit in the world? Can you explain that one to me?
He'd call up, can I come over and see you? I say, Sheldon, I'm the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way. He'd come in and do good though. But they were very responsible for so much, including getting me thinking about Golan Heights, which is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen to Israel.
Right. So previously something that Donald Trump gave absolutely no thought about, probably had no knowledge of whatsoever. Didn't even have anything like that come across his plate until these ultra rich, ultra wealthy people put some money in front of his face and said, hey, these are some things I want done. And if you get them done, we'll be more than happy to give you, what was it, 100 million? Hold on. Was it 100 million or was it 200 million? Because Miriam Adelson was basically Elon Musk before Elon Musk was Elon Musk as far as giving money to Trump's campaign. Let me see. I think it was at least 100 million. Adelson donation, Trump's campaign donation, Trump. Let's see if that pulls it up. Yeah, it was $100 million here. I'll put this on the screen for you guys. So again, just a quick check. I don't know what the fuck you checking me for. What do you need to check me for? I'm checked. I'm good. Verify. I'm human. Yep, we're human. We are human. Okay, can I get into the site so I can there we go. All right, Miriam Adelson gives $100 million to Trump's campaign, making good on reported pledge. Give from the prolific pro-Israel donor is the largest, fuck out of here, whatever, I don't know, fuck out of here, largest among new batch of major spending disclosures, eclipses the $75 million that Elon Musk recently gave to a pro-Trump PAC, right? So even outdoing Elon Musk's early investments into Donald Trump's campaign here. The money was distributed to Adelson Super PAC, Preserve America, which you seated earlier with the $5 million donation, $25 million in July, August, and September, an additional $20 million at the end of September. Jesus Christ. Adelson could once again be instrumental in shaping American policy on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So again, if Trump wins, which he did, Miriam Adelson and her husband were influential in Trump's monumental direction to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to from Tel Aviv to the country's capital of Jerusalem in 2017. Her praise for the former president includes suggesting in 2019 that a book of Trump be added to the Bible. The following year, he awarded Adelson the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. So you can see the quid pro quo going on here, right? I mean, it's pretty friggin' obvious what's going on. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You toss me a couple $1 billion, couple $100 million, then I'll give you, the embassy here, or I'll give you the Golan Heights. And then guess what? If you kind of say that I should be put in the Bible, I'll turn around and give you the Presidential Medal of Freedom. You see how this kind of works? Quid pro quo again. So, again, Donald Trump thank you so much, Colleen. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. That's incredible. Make sure you guys are thanking both Colleen and everybody else giving donations as well. That's amazing. Carol as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. But again, just more bullshit being spewed out in the open in broad daylight. That would, again, be an enormous problem, an enormous scandal, an enormous fucking example of corruption in any other political fucking reality, in any, with any other politician at the helm. All right, so let's see if we can. Was there anything else? Yeah, I think he goes on, tell you the truth. We didn't even get to the part yet where she's asked who she supports more, Israel or America. And he even says himself in this clip, I think I'm going to get her in trouble by saying this. Listen.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country. She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel. I must say.
Yeah, America first, though, ladies and gentlemen. America first, America only. We're not going to get involved in foreign affairs. We're not going to get ourselves caught in sticky situations and, foreign lands that we don't know the fucking people and don't speak the language and have no fucking benefit from, and it poses no threat to national security, right? Like, this is that party here. Now talking about how, $60 billion, anybody with the $60 billion, I don't care who you like, I don't care who you represent, I don't care who you've killed. You're more than welcome to come in. And guess what? What do you want? You want a capital somewhere? You want the Presidential Medal of Freedom? What do you want? It's $100 million and you name it, it's yours, right? And this is out in the open, and I know it's normalized now, and we're kind of used to it from this asshole, but it cannot be normalized. We cannot let the next system, the next, set of politicians, the next, political atmosphere that we find ourselves in, normalizing this type of bullshit for, I don't know, God forbid, another Republican or hopefully another fucking Democrat to get in office. Again, for them to go up there and just kind of, spew the corruption out loud and have no fucking culpability, right? No sense that you'll be held accountable whatsoever. We're going to make sure that doesn't become a reality. Make sure that doesn't become normalized. All right. Let me see. There's a couple more clips here. I think there was this one too. Put this one on the stage for you guys. Yeah, this was a little bit. Oh yeah, this is a little bit of eruption here in the Knesset as there was, I don't know, a protest of some sort. I will say that I'm not 100% sure what the meaning of the protest or why the people were so upset. I don't know if it's been reported yet. It hasn't. I haven't seen it yet. What's up, Tom? What's up, brother? I see you in there. Brother. Nice to see you, dude. Good to see you. But so I don't know if this was like a more right-wing faction of the Israeli government that is upset with, what they're kind of seeing as a capitulation by Benjamin Netanyahu, because, if you think about it, they've kind of not accomplished any of their goals, really. Like, they didn't destroy Hamas. Hamas is going to get basically amnesty and get free travel to whatever country that they want. They're already in talks about having some governorships, and I know that's a big point of debate, but it doesn't seem like basically the return of the hostages. And I know this plan, a lot of people are talking about this deal, and it's very similar to something that's pretty much been on the table this entire time. Right. It's very similar in a lot of ways to the plan that Joe Biden had put forth. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of bringing that point up, but again, to this point of the main differences, and I hate to give the guy any credit because I can't stand him as much as you guys can't, but the main difference is there's signatures on this one, right? There's signatures on this one. So we'll get into that a little bit later. I know I'll probably have some comments and opinions that you guys may not like to hear, but in my opinion, it is the ultimate truth. It is reality. It is something that needs to be called out because, and again, I'm not going to get into it right now, but we'll get into it when the time comes. But let's see if we can get into this clip. This is, again, a little bit of a protest, a little bit of a disruption when Trump was delivering his remarks. And again, I don't know if it was a more right-wing faction or if this was kind of more left-wing faction upset for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure, but this did take place during Trump's speech. Let's take a look.
Respect him, and they somehow can relate to him. I've known him for many years, and I've seen it over and over again.
להוציא את חבר הכנסת עודה, להוציא אותו מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד, החוצה, החוצה.
Please expel this Knesset member. Please expel this Knesset member.
להוציא גם את חבר הכנסת כסיף. להוציא את חבר הכנסת כסיף מהאולם.
Expel Knesset member Kasif.
I don't know what they're grabbing. It looks like pieces of paper. I don't know if they had something written on them, or if they were like little signs that they were holding up in protest. But I did never get to see what one of the signs or the pieces of paper said. So again, I'm not sure what type of protest or what they were upset about. But kind of strange to see as this kind of address and this kind of talk is going on a day where the hostages were to be freed, right?
Please expel him immediately.
And it's weird. It's like the Knesset is very Trump rally-like, right? When there's any disruption, you'll see, the Trump rally start chanting Trump or MAGA or fucking God bless America or whatever the hell. This is kind of similar in the way where they're like, they see the disruption, so they're going to get up and they got to try to clap to either, kind of take the attention away from these people or to make it seem like they are together. So it's very Trump rally-like in that way.
Sorry for that, Mr. President.
And then they kind of return there. So again, I'm not 100% sure what that was all about. But that was something to take a look at. And then there was this one as well, where during his speech to Knesset, Trump urged Israel's president to pardon Netanyahu, who is currently on trial for corruption, above and beyond the war crimes that he is now responsible for, right? I mean, this is just lunacy at every turn. This is just fucking disgusting. And again, to think that this was some like spur of the moment thing that wasn't rehearsed, wasn't pre-planned, wasn't scripted is just utter bullshit. And Trump actually gives the game away. Later, we'll take a look at where he's talking to press on Air Force One. And he's asked if, him and Netanyahu talked about when he was going to say that. And he said, no, I actually told him I wasn't going to say it, or I told him I wasn't going to bring it up. So clearly it was already pre-discussed. So this pardon is something that was very much pre-planned and pre-discussed by these two. And I think it's a huge fucking reason as to why Netanyahu is so willing to at least give off the air, at least act like he's willing to go along with this peace plan, right? So if he can stay out of prison, right? If he can somehow remain in power, stay out of prison or whatever it may be, like I think he's willing to kind of take that handoff for not really eradicating Hamas like he said he was going to, for some of the other things, some of the other goals that they didn't attain or achieve. I think that's kind of like a willing handoff that he's willing to make. And I think that's kind of what Donald Trump kind of held over his head. Like, when you Donald Trump here, you'll hear him saying on Air Force One, like, this is over, where Bibi Netanyahu is unwilling to say that this is finished. Trump is trying to say that this is over, it's finito, it's done, when we know that's anything but. But I think he's trying to hold that over Netanyahu's head and say, like, listen, I'm the one that said, you're supposed to get the pardon here. I'm the one that brought that up. I'm the one that pretty much has the power to make that happen. So if you want that to be a reality, then, you're going to at least make sure that I don't look like an asshole for at least some period of time, which again has already fucking failed. But it's a joke all the way around. It really is. But again, I don't want to come off and seem like because of my dislike, because of my hatred for Donald Trump, I am unwilling to recognize the good. Right. So I also don't want that. I am, like I said earlier, I am very happy. I was and continue to be very happy to see the reunions, to see people and families reunited, people getting back to what they call their lives. And again, but you have to juxtapose that to, again, what the Palestinians are going home to and how much more work they face. And again, you'll even see there's videos going around of some heartbreaking moments where, a Palestinian prisoner who has been in captivity for 2 years comes home just to find out that his 3 kids have been killed by the IDF in the bombings. Just heartbreaking moments. So again, but I don't want to seem like I am unwilling to acknowledge the good that we are seeing, at least in this first phase. But again, I want us to be grounded in reality, based in reality as to what's actually happening before we start crowning people and calling this peace in the Middle East well before we get to that point, right? So I'm just saying I want to be, taking everything with a grain of salt, like I've been saying. I want to take everything as it comes and talk about it as we see it in depicting the accurate history of both Netanyahu, Israel, and again, their unwillingness to agree and keep to a ceasefire, as we've seen in the past, right? And Donald Trump's unwillingness to do anything really in defense of democracy, or, that seems to be, bringing him down on the right side of history. But this is here where he talks about a war criminal, Netanyahu, again, even above and beyond that, wanted and on trial for corruption in his own fucking country, deeply unpopular in his own country, highly protested against in his own country, demanding here that the president give him a pardon. Check this out. This will go down too in history. This will be remembered in history too. The day that the United States president, the president of the country that has been actively and continuously feeding the weapons responsible for the death and destruction, now actively going and calling for the pardon of a man wanted for not only corruption in his own country, but by the Hague, by the ICC, and for war crimes by the international community for the acts of genocide that he's perpetrated on the Palestinian people. And now Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is actively calling for his pardon.
A good man right here. These 2 men are good men right here. Hey, I have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon. Come on.
And again, I have this to show you, but again, I'm still haven't decided if we're going to try to find the clip in this or see if we can find, some on Twitter where they kind of bring up the highlights of this. But he again gives the game away, like I said in this, where he's questioned, hey, did you and Bibi, kind of discuss when you were going to talk about that pardon? And he says, no, I actually told him we weren't going to discuss that. I wasn't going to bring that up here. So again, giving the ball game away that this was pre-planned, pre-discussed. And again, I don't believe him for a second where he says he told him he wasn't going to say it, because this is the perfect time, the perfect moment to display that power and to bring this up in front of the whole Knesset, in front of the world, where he doesn't, they basically, the president can't show his dissatisfaction or his, reaction to that suggestion if he didn't like it. Because he knows the cameras are on him. He knows the world stage is there. You know what I mean? He knows the world press is there looking at him. Like, so that is the perfect moment to bring that up. And they both fucking know that and don't for a second believe that they don't. But yeah, I think, let me see if I can just kind of get lucky for a second here. Let me see. I'm going to kind of just skip in, see if I can just get lucky real quick and see if we can find that moment where he's at.
Healthcare and the other things that they give away. Look at this. Education.
You talked about
cleaned out.
What's your reaction?
And just playing it all night long. It's been very good. I think it's a very important day.
First of all, the sound quality sucks on this one, but I think it is right around here where he's asked. Let me see. I'll see if I can. I'll put the closed captions on too. They should be on just so we can get it.
I'm not saying that you don't, but it was on another level today.
Yeah, it's right after this.
It was really good. New York is good. It's good.
New York City, bad example, but but balcony.
They said if you did Russia or if you, it's a whole thing. It's just never been done. I mean, your people in Foxwood. And by the way,
Hold on. Come on. It's right here.
Something that we heard from some Israelis on the ground, they want to know how the peace holds when you are not the president.
After this.
Yeah. Did you tell Bibi beforehand?
Yep, here we go, right here. So this is where he says it right here. Did you tell Bibi beforehand is the question. Now, hopefully you can hear it because the sound quality sucks. I do apologize about that, but let me see if you can kind of make this out here.
For whoever it may be.
Did you tell Bibi beforehand that you were going to go off script? And
no, I actually told him I didn't want to.
Did you tell Bibi before that you were going to go off script and kind of, ask for him to get a pardon? And listen, here's Trump's response.
Bring up the pardon. But it was just a perfect spot. It was good timing. When you said, because he was getting a very good hand. And when they stopped, they said, why didn't you give this guy a pardon? If he didn't get a good hand, they would have done that. But the timing was... What do you think, Katie? Good timing for that. Right?
So he's talking about the timing, right? So even he knows, even he's been told either by his own fucking, random brain cell he's got kicking around in there, or by his team, or by Netanyahu, or by Netanyahu's team, that this would be the perfect moment for them to bring this out of their pocket, for them to kind of, reveal this suggestion and see how it's kind of accepted on the world stage here. And again, I won't subject you to that whole thing, but I wanted to kind of bring that in right after the clip that we heard. And again, this goes on for how this is a 2-minute clip. I don't know. Let me put this back on the screen. What do they just clap for a couple minutes? Does anybody else say anything here?
By the way, that was not in the speech, as you probably know. But I happen to like this gentleman right over here. And
No, it wasn't in the speech, but it was talked about by you and Benjamin Netanyahu on a multitude of occasions. I can guarantee it. But it probably wasn't discussed with you or your speechwriters because they probably wouldn't have allowed you to put that in there either. But because, they have nothing to say and they're kind of cowed and they're all yes men, they're not going to say anything after the fact, right? They're not going to criticize you and say, hey, we shouldn't have done that. We probably should have been told about what you were going to say, that type of thing. So you can get one over on them. But damn well that was pre-scripted, planned, and definitely meant to be said at that fucking moment. 1,000%. There's not a doubt in my mind. Let's see what else he says.
Seems to make so much sense. Whether we like it or not, this has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. This has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. And
I mean, I don't even really know how you can stomach that statement. One of the greatest wartime presidents. Talking about, I don't know who he's talking. I don't know if I'm assuming he's talking about Benjamin Netanyahu or he's praising the president, trying to get Benjamin Netanyahu more chance at a pardon. I don't know if it's quite clear, but again, if he's talking about Netanyahu, that is one of the most egregious and most false statements I've ever heard in my life. Right? To call that man like a wartime president is it's ridiculous with the number of kids and women that have been killed. Right? Basically the failure of the IDF that we can say, because the overwhelming number of hostages that were released under negotiated ceasefires, coming under diplomatic terms, as opposed to the IDF going in there, storming buildings or storming tunnels and rescuing these people. As a matter of fact, they're probably responsible for killing more of their own hostages than they are responsible for saving and active attempts by their military, right? So Joe Biden responsible for what? 130 something, 140 something hostages being released under his administration, right? A lot of people talking about why was it only men being released? That's because the women were prioritized in earlier hostage exchanges set forth by the Biden administration. And again, not the time. We'll get into it. But just a little bit more of this, because to call him like a great wartime president is just, puts such a bad taste in your mouth. It is so absolutely despicable not to recognize the reality. And again, to even call this like a war on the scale of like, I don't know, World War II or even Ukraine, Russia, right? When like two sides who have somewhat equal equipment are fighting with, somewhat equal forces, right? Even though, in Russia and Ukraine, Russia has the overwhelming amount, but still in these separate battles, in these, battles, a lot of the times they're faced with similar type of equipment, similar numbers of soldiers, as opposed to the overwhelming, intelligence benefit that the IDF had, the overwhelming, the technological advancement that they have, the advancements in weaponry, the advancements in tactics, the advancements in satellites and drone usage. Right? This isn't a war fought by two equal fucking militaries on an equal footing in an open space, right? It's just not. It's just not how, that's just not the reality of it. That's just not how it was. One side's ripping out fucking plumbing, trying to make pipe bombs and shit out of that. And the other side is getting the best of the best equipment sent from the U.S. fucking military. And 2,000-pound bombs and shit. Right? It's just like to consider these two like warring factions to be in any way similar or I don't know. It's fucking crazy to me that's not talked about more too.
Cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about that?
So again, calling instead of for champagnes and cigars for a war criminal to be pardoned. It goes on as well. That's not the only embarrassing. Again, this is the through line that I was talking about with the, Donald Trump just loving cash and everything having to do with money and how it can benefit him and who he could rob and who he could steal from and who he could set up his family members with so they could profit, like Jared Kushner, to the tune of $2 billion. Right. So listen to this is where he meets. I think this is in his Egypt meeting, meeting one of the sheikhs, and listen to what he says here. Says a lot of cash, unlimited cash, as he's pulling them as hard as he possibly can towards him. Right? I mean, how he's possibly even at a time or a day like that thinking about, cash and people's net worths and Marion Adelson 60 billion and, whoever this fucking guy is, it's unreal. And it goes on too. It goes on. Here's another embarrassing moment where he, pulls Kiyostama up to the podium in like the most awkward and embarrassing way. I don't know what was the attempt here, but look at the faces of the people in the background. Look at the faces of, is that Giorgia Meloni? Not 100% sure, but the leaders in the background after this are like, what the hell was that? Is this guy off his rocker? Check this out.
United Kingdom. Where's United Kingdom? Where's our friend? Come here. Is everything going good? Very good. That's very nice that you're here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice, and I think it's fantastic.
This guy's so many like, what the hell is that?
Just so many others.
Kiyostama goes back. He's like, what in the fuck is this guy doing? Like, just awkward, embarrassing moments at every fucking turn. Which kind of brings us into like the reporting of, how this is kind of already maybe seen the ceasefire broken already, right? So this brings us to like this drop site report here where this is coming from, and this is kind of to give an example of like, does this seem like people that are ready to, again, extend their hand in peace? Does this sound like a military or people engaged in the military that are willing to, again, live side by side in peace with these people or not? Because BBC Verify cover reporting from Drop Site's latest report, Israeli soldiers torched food, homes, and critical sewage treatment plants in the wake of ceasefire announcement. This is the BBC Verify mention from Paul Stanforth, Dropside News, and the IDF set fire to water treatment plant just before the ceasefire. As for the Israeli has been repeatedly accused of deliberately destroying buildings across Gaza. Let me see if I can play this and see if this gives us just a little bit more insight. I think this was the original drop site reporting where Israeli soldiers torched food, homes, and critical sewage treatment plant. I believe these are pictures from the incident. Let's see if we can get into a little bit of this BBC breaking news article story here to see if we can get any more details.
Israel has been repeatedly accused of deliberately destroying buildings across Gaza in a campaign of systematic destruction. But even on the eve of the ceasefire deal being agreed, the Israeli military stand accused of destroying vital infrastructure that's key to normal life being restored in Gaza. Here, Israeli soldiers pose in front of a wastewater treatment plant that had been set on fire. This is southwest of Gaza City, and the photos were posted by news outlet Dropsite Media, which they say were from the social media accounts of Israeli soldiers. Now, we verified those.
Now, again, this is above and beyond on top of the video that we showed the other day of the tank on the beach just randomly opened fire. Saying that the IDF claiming that they still had the ability to do so because, I don't know, some bullshit saying that some of their officials hadn't actively signed on to the ceasefire yet or hadn't actively, kind of read it or whatever the hell the bullshit may be. It wasn't actions. It wasn't something that you'd look at and be like, yes, you know what, that military force, those look like people that actively want peace, actively want to stop killing innocent civilians. That's not the vibe that I get, right? And this just kind of is a through line, just kind of continues that fucking notion that we've been getting of people that are just trying to get their last kicks in, right? Their last hoorahs in, the last bit of destruction, right? The last bit of fucking, the last bit of kicking the Palestinians while they're down before they are, seemingly forced to retreat.
Images by matching up the identifying features of the plant with publicly available images. And we know when it was set on fire by looking at heat data detected here by NASA's firms.
Right, so this isn't like some random reporting. This isn't something that has not been corroborated or confirmed, right? We're talking about fucking heat signatures, satellite reporting, dates, times, going through these people's accounts, the IDF fucking social media accounts, and putting all of this together, right? This isn't like, okay, one person said or a Palestinian reported or reported by the Gaza Health Ministry, unsupported by other claims, right? This is a lot more has gone into trying to figure out if this is true. Did it really happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Who did it?
Shows there were fires here on the 11th of October at the plant. We can also see damage to the plant from other satellite imagery too. Have a look at this. For example, this is the plant on the 7th of October before the ceasefire was agreed. Now, you can see IDF military vehicles and the staging area and defensive sand berms too. And at the plant itself, more military equipment. And this is the 11th of October, after the fire.
So you can see these two, what looks to be the two tanks, have been taken out here. And obviously the cars and the vehicles are no longer there.
After the ceasefire was announced. And you can see smoke still rising and damage from scorch marks. And the military vehicles that I showed you earlier have left the area. Legal expert Professor Janina Dill told us that the destruction of infrastructure like this may be a war crime, adding it's unclear how the necessities of war might require destruction.
Of course, it's a blatant violation of the Geneva Convention, right? You cannot go in and destroy. You cannot, at the last second before a ceasefire, go in and destroy the people's water treatment facilities. You cannot destroy their infrastructure of the fucking citizens, right? That's again against the Geneva Convention. That's against the rules of war, the articles of war, international rules, the international fucking law. It's pretty fucking common sense that would be a crime. That would be something that you don't want your soldiers to engage in just before, again, a ceasefire is about to be signed, as you're trying to show the world that you're ready for peace to happen. It's just not the vibe that I'm getting.
Of a wastewater treatment plant.
And again, that's on top of this story as well. We might as well bring in. This is a Sky News report titled 6 Killed by Israeli Fire, Gaza Health Authorities Confirm. And this is put out just 8 hours ago by, again, Sky News. Let's see if we can take a look at this and see if we can get any more details into what happened. Because, again, this is seemingly a both sides blaming both sides blame game, which is a lot of what you see happening after or during one of these ceasefires that will make it kick back off. One side accuses the other side of doing something, which causes a retaliation from the other side. Next thing you know, we're back at it like a crack addict, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see here, because, again, this would be a direct violation of the fucking ceasefire. That means that phase one is already kaput. That means that this bullshit is already fucking kaput and it's already been fucking broken. right? That means that more actions need to be taken, whether it be from, the Hamas side, again, breaking whatever side of their agreement. I don't know if them bringing up 7,000 of their soldiers, as was reported, because they were afraid that the IDF wouldn't pull out. I don't know if that is in direct contravention of the ceasefire. I would assume it to be. I don't know when the timing happened or when it was signed. But, there's also been reports, credible reports, to suggest that people are now being executed in the streets for having, helped Israel, having collaborated with Israel. I'm pretty sure that's going to be, that would be a problem as far as a ceasefire, as far as, them being able and willing and capable of showing they're being able to govern that area, right? So that's a fucking problem that we absolutely should be talking about as well. Doesn't seem to be talked about a lot as far as that's concerned. But let's just see if we can get into this and see what happened here and who's blaming who, and who's actually responsible here.
Just want to bring you up to date on some breaking news we're getting.
Let's see if I can turn this up. My apologies. Start it again.
Just want to bring you up to date on some breaking news we're getting into Sky News. And we told you earlier that the Israeli military said it had opened fire in the northern part of Gaza because it wanted to remove the threat of some suspects that approached them in the northern Gaza Strip.
The IDF acknowledges they opened fire in the northern section there in order to remove threats, that they considered threats upon their military. So let's see what actually happened.
Well, the local health authority in Gaza are saying that 6 Palestinians have been killed after the fire was opened fire. The military says the suspects had crossed into a boundary that was a pullback under this US brokered ceasefire plan. But local news are reporting there that the authority has said that the Israeli military in that situation killed 6 Palestinians in 2 separate incidents across the enclave today. So that's just the latest news. Let me just recap. So earlier we told you how the Israeli military said that they had to open fire to remove a threat that was posed to them by suspects who had approached them in northern Gaza. They had told local people to not approach them in that way. Fire was opened, and now Gaza local authorities reporting that 6 Palestinians had been killed. So that's the very latest there in that situation. It's live and breaking. So the Gaza Health Authority is saying that 6 Palestinians had been killed in that situation.
Right. So one side saying the IDF saying that they crossed into some yellow line. They crossed the yellow line. Again, the Gaza Health Ministry saying that that's not true, that they didn't. The IDF saying that they were given ample warning or warning shots. Again, the other side saying that they didn't. But again, a clear violation, regardless of what happens by, again, one side or the other, depending on what side is, what side of the story is true, what side of the story is false. But again, to say that we're like looking at peace in the Middle East and this has all been settled and it's wrapped up and it's set to go and you can put a fucking bow on it is just ridiculous, considering what we're seeing actually taking place on the ground, what we know about the people and the players involved in all of this is crazy. And then there's this that I wanted to talk about and look at as well, where this is just kind of, again, going towards the vibe that I'm getting of these people not really wanting to see peace, not really wanting to follow this peace deal, because this is a tweet by the, let's see here. This is Defense Minister Katz here, who put this in. This was originally in Hebrew, and he says, Israel's great challenge after the phase of returning the hostages will be the destruction of all Hamas's terror tunnels in Gaza, directly by the IDF and through the international mechanism to be established under the leadership and supervision of the United States. This is the primary significance of implementing the agreed-upon principles of demilitarizing Gaza and neutralizing Hamas of its weapons. I have instructed the IDF to prepare for carrying out the mission. Now, as I've been made aware, or as I'm aware of, it is part of the agreement, I think 13 or 14 in the bullet points, that, these tunnels and any systems like that could be demolished or, kind of, eradicated or whatever word you want to use. But to the best of my knowledge, it is not going to be or supposed to be carried out by the IDF. The IDF is not supposed to have, they're supposed to have pulled back, right? They're supposed to have lines that they're supposed to have drawn back to by certain dates, certain times. So to the best of my knowledge, it's not supposed to be the IDF, but by this, I don't know, this international supervised team of fucking Tony Blair and Donald Trump or whoever that wants to put and install people in charge that are supposed to be, responsible for that. Just not the IDF, right? That's just kind of the way that I've read into it. So now for Israel, Israel's defense minister to say that he's preparing the IDF to go in and again destroy these tunnels, which I thought were destroyed already. If you were to listen to what the IDF has been saying over this entire war, they've destroyed, I don't know, all the tunnels basically, but apparently not. So again, this is just not giving me the vibe of a government, right, that wants to stick to the deal, that is trying to, again, do everything possible to make sure that things don't kick off again. Things are done by the letter of the law, right? That's just, again, not the vibe that I'm getting. And, it's a bit, it is a bit worrying, to say the least. But again, let me see if I can pull up just a few more of these other things that I wanted to talk about. There was, let's see, what do we got? About an hour left here. Because there was Tim Pool here who had his couple comments that we can take a look at. We'll see if we can save that for a little bit towards the end. Let's see, what's he talking about?
Donald
He's talking
Trump
about
has declared
Israel war is over, Tim Pool declares. All hostages released. Trump gets standing ovation, right? So we'll be taking a dive into that. Oh, thank you, Silly. Appreciate that. Silly, I appreciate that. Appreciate you being a member for 5 months. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to everybody else contributing. And don't worry, to everybody that kind of throws in a super chat, super sticker. If I miss it, go by in the chat. Don't worry about it. Stick around to the end of the show. I give a shout out. I give a highlight. I give the spotlight to anybody like Silly Willy here that either met a milestone, gave a super chat, sent a super sticker, anything like that. Sent a Venmo, which is up in the corner. I always give a shout out and highlight everybody that does that. So I appreciate you, Willie. Thank you for being here, brother. So yeah, we'll be taking a look at that. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to see here as well. Let's see here. Oh yeah, there was this that I wanted to show you guys, which that goes along the through line that we were just talking about, where this is Katz, the same one that we were just talking about. And he says here, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, said on Monday that an announcement by Palestinian terrorist group Hamas to hand over 4 bodies of Israeli hostages is a, quote, failure to meet commitments. Right? So this is the same thing that we were talking about on previous shows where, Israel has been been made aware and has been aware, as well as the United States, that, Hamas is not in possession, does not know where all of the deceased hostages actually rest, where they are. So it's physically impossible for them to have, returned or be able to return these bodies that they can't recover. Right. So it's just, and I was kind of worried, and other people were talking about it as well, as something that was going to be used by Israel as kind of a, justification or something to set off alarm bells to say that Hamas was not kind of actively meeting their side of the bargain because they have not released or, given back all of the deceased hostages like it says in the ceasefire agreement, right? And then here's Newsmax. Again, this is not being reported by left-wing outlets or, anything like that, where they're talking about here. His direct quote is failure to meet commitments. And then he's talking about Hamas being able to, failing to meet their commitments by returning all of the deceased hostages, which Israel knows is a physical impossibility at this moment in time. That might change with the more people that are returned to Palestine, returned to Gaza, and getting back into the homes. The more that the rubble is cleared up and the more people are found and things are, again, put back into place, it might become more clear where these hostages are. But at this moment in time, it seems physically impossible. And again, that was known by Israel and the United States intelligence well before this ceasefire agreement was signed. So again, just another thing that's kind of giving me red flags, putting up red flags and giving me cause for concern as far as whether or not this is going to be long-lasting peace or not. Because, again, phase 2 of this deal seems so far away at this moment in time. Like, just trying to keep this first phase of the ceasefire, to remain just that, a ceasefire, is going to be just an extraordinary amount of work that I don't know that Donald Trump has the ability or the energy to put into this situation. It's kind of crazy to me, right? So let's see, just before we and again, just if I can, like, it's really fucking depressing. And I know a lot of us are kind of in like a weird spot in this. And, I just kind of want to talk about it just for a little bit, because we're kind of in that spot where, we all want to see humanity win. We want to see the killing end. We want to see the starving babies, taken care of. We want to see the Palestinians move back in and be able to rebuild their homes and their land and their lives. And, we wanted to see the Israeli hostages return to their families. And it's like, I feel like that's all stuff that could have happened. And I feel like that, and again, you may disagree, and this may be, contrary to some of your popular beliefs, but I really do think that the Democrats and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris handed, if this goes the way that, Donald Trump wants it to go, and this actually does become some sort of peace, which again, I have no confidence in whatsoever at this point. But if it does, I think we just handed Donald Trump one of the most massive victories, one of the most massive W's that we could have possibly handed this. Because like I said before, this deal is not much different than anything that was put on the table by Joe Biden. But the only difference is that Donald Trump seemingly used his power, seemingly used the force of the United States to bring to bear onto Benjamin Netanyahu, even if in the background he said, this pardon was going to be like the big sticking point, right? Even if on the basis of corruption, he's using power. Like, that's what I think we could have done. That's what I think Joe Biden could have done. Like, he could have used the power of the presidency, the power of the United States to say, Benjamin Netanyahu, we will not send you any more fucking weapons until you sit down and agree to stop the killing, allow aid in, come to a ceasefire, come to a peace agreement, whatever the fuck it may have been. But he did not put his foot down. When Joe Biden came out and revealed his plan for peace, Benjamin Netanyahu, within 24 hours, went on television in Israel to demean and fucking tear down the whole thing. At that moment, Joe Biden should have stepped up and said, okay, if that's how you feel, then guess what? No more fucking weapons for you. And now you'll be listening to everything that I have to say, because I'm the president of the United States. And what I say fucking goes, because if I don't give you the weapons, if I don't give you the funding, if I don't give you the aid, then you guys are in some fucking shit. So guess what? I have the power in this situation. So you're going to say and do what I fucking tell you to do. But instead, now it looks like this fucking meathead, this asshole, this piece of shit who doesn't give a fuck less, could give a fuck less about democracy and the lives of the Palestinian people or even the fucking Israeli people. And all he cares about is the self-proclamations and the fucking, the praise that he's getting in the Time magazine fucking articles and shit. That's what he cares about, his, potential for a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what he's worried about. But even if it's by ignorance or selfishness or corruption, he still seemingly used that power and got done what Biden and his administration either were unwilling to do or too incompetent to do, which was get some fucking signatures on this plan and put people's in their place and get some shit in motion to have this fucking killing stop. Donald Trump absolutely has blood on his hands from this. He's fucking worth about 10 months of this destruction and death and letting it continue as well. But I know we're all in a weird place right now because we all want to see the death and destruction stop, and it's all fucking great to see the hostages come home. But again, it's hard, I know, and it sucks to say, but it's probably difficult for a lot of us to see Donald Trump get the praise or get the W, the victory. Or at least so far, right? And again, I'm taking this with a huge grain of salt as far as long-lasting, long-term peace being, seen in this, as you guys know. But I do believe with my whole heart, and I'm sorry if that upsets some people. I'm sorry if that's unpopular. But in my fucking whole heart, I believe it with the truth. We gave this man the biggest fucking W, the biggest fucking victory we possibly could have handed this guy. When again, all we had to do was wield power. All we had to do was put our fucking foot down when we had power to do this exact same thing. And it's crazy, but as much as I wanted to see all those Palestinian protesters that like Hal and everybody else love to talk about, as much as I would have loved to have seen them outside of Mar-a-Lago and at Trump rallies, as opposed to outside of, just Biden and Kamala Harris events and shit like that, they don't look that fucking stupid now, do they? Right? As much as I think that should have been spread throughout everybody, as opposed to, again, just being seen as a left-wing problem, they don't look that fucking dumb, do they? Right? This whole, like, Donald Trump's obviously going to be 10 times worse for this, for this area, for these people. Doesn't seem to be coming to fruition. Right? It doesn't. As much as it sucks to say, as much as it's fucking shitty to say, as much as I agreed with what was going on, and I thought that, Donald Trump should have 10 times more protesters outside of his rallies and fucking shit. Like, it doesn't seem like they were that misplaced. It doesn't seem like they were that off on what they were seeing at this moment in time. And facts are facts. What I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. Reality is reality, right? Couldn't do it? No, it seemed like he was unwilling to do it, if you ask me. A self-proclaimed Zionist that he was, right? Didn't want to go against the Israeli lobby. It didn't want to go against, and seemed like he was not supportive of his Israeli brethren in the government over there. I mean, again, this peace deal is nothing fucking too, off from what was already on the table. I mean, as far back as probably October 11th or 12th, after October 7th, I think Hamas had already agreed to something similar along these lines. Right? Probably not bullet point for bullet point, but something like this plan has been on the table since the fucking beginning of this, since October 7th, or a few days after that. So again, you might not like to hear it. You may not want to hear it, but it's the fucking truth. And we had every opportunity. We had every ability. We had all the power in the world while we had fucking the office to make sure that this didn't fucking continue, and that it didn't come to even the ability to have this asshole now that, again, has blood on his hands and fucking doesn't deserve an ounce of fucking credit in my book, to again get all the fucking credit. And it's crazy. And it's crazy. And it's fucking crazy as far as I'm concerned. But let me see. There was a couple more things that I wanted to show here too. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. I think I might show the there's a Jesse Dollemore video where Donald Trump actually forgets the reporter on Air Force One. Let me see if I can pull that up, because I know he pulled up the clips there. He gave a kind of, is this 12:13? We got time. Pull this up for you guys. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. We also, Donald Trump forgetting that he was president on January 6th, 2021. With that tweet that he pulled out. What an absolute fucking moron. But let me see here. This was Donald Trump forgets. Yeah, this is the one right here. Share this tab instead.
On China, are you considering walking that back?
Who are you with?
Politico, Dasha Burns, sir.
Dasha Politico. Politico's gone bad.
So that's Donald Trump on Air Force One on the way home talking to Dasha Burns from Politico. And it probably, you wouldn't think normally if you just saw that clip that it was weird, right? But it's as Jesse reports here, Donald Trump actually but I think a day or two before that just did a sit-down interview with Dasha Burns. Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, right here. He talks about it right here. Check this out.
I just played for you. Dasha Burns posted this on Twitter saying she had just gotten off the phone with Donald Trump and had a conversation. And it's this message, it's this video that I'm getting ready to play from her tweet that gives me the most problems with how she comports herself as a journalist.
Again, we don't have to play anything. We don't have to listen to her tweet, but to forget the person that you just had either a phone interview, sit down interview, Zoom interview, some sort of interview in which you were introduced, you met, you know what I mean? Seemingly we're told who she was, who she worked for, to now be standing face to face with that person in Air Force One and not know who the hell they are. I don't know. Is your brain totally fucking gone? And again, that just goes along the lines of, what was it? This one right here, where he's talking about if he's going to hell or heaven, when asked if he's going to heaven or something like that. And he says he's definitely not getting into heaven. Like, is he thinking about death? Is death on his mind? Because of, his recent visit to the hospital that was, seemingly unannounced, unscheduled, supposedly, his yearly checkup that he has 10 times a year now. Let's see if we can just, let me see if I can find better audio of this. Let me see if I can find better audio. My apologies, because this, as I remember, this audio sucked for that one. Let me see. There's got to be other ones. Video Trump celebrates kind of the deal. Is this it right here? Maybe a little better.
Historic day, to put it mildly.
Let's see.
Wasn't it amazing? Not be that way with you. Very good.
This must just be the audio. What the hell? Why is everybody having trouble getting? Did they take this down? I'm just gonna type in Trump Air Force One, see what comes up. Trump. No, Trump Heaven. How about that? That should bring it up. Yeah, here's this clip right here. We can play this one. Where Donald Trump acknowledges that, again, somebody who, like, it's any question that somebody who's trying to keep his involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein files and what's going on with that out of the question. The man that, again, tried to overthrow democracy in our country, said he could grab women by the crotch without permission, talks about having sex with his own daughter, cheated on his wife with a porn star 5 months after she gave birth. The list goes on, but, you know, to think that a guy with that, all of that on his fucking track record and so much more, and much more that we probably haven't even found out yet, wouldn't get into heaven. Big surprise, guys. Newsflash. Big surprise. Let me see if this audio is any better than the other one was.
Weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, you know, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
I may be in heaven right now as we fly an Air
My
Force.
apologies. It'd probably be great if you guys were watching it on the screen at the same time instead of me just sitting here looking at my computer like an asshole. That would be great. All right, let me play it again. My apologies. Sorry about that.
A couple of weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, you know, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound.
Somebody must have told him in passing, you know, anybody involved in those Jeffrey Epstein files or his killing or the cover-up of that, you know, that's going on right now being perpetrated by the government, probably not getting into heaven. Just going to say, I don't know if that was like the last confession Donald Trump went to fucking, I don't know how long ago that he heard that, but so it seems like, you know, he's kind of been told definitively that, yeah, again, if you're protecting pedophiles, you're probably not going to get into heaven. So that's why Donald Trump has seemingly come to that conclusion already.
Maybe in heaven right now as we fly an Air Force One. I'm not sure.
He's got that eye glint too, right? You see that eye glint like that? Like, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Is it cataracts? I'm not a doctor, but, you know, typically when like old, you know, you get old, like the old people get it, you get that like shine on your eye. Does that mean he's getting like some eye issues as well? Again, I don't know if we got any docs in the chat or whatnot, but you know, it seems like that's becoming more prominent as well. That like eye shine that you get almost like on a fucking cat or something. All right, let me see what else he says in this.
I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And you know, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And I knew Putin very well. It was the apple of his eye. All the things I've said would have never happened.
All the bullshit that I've said before, just put that in somewhere, those quotes.
We had an incompetent administration. We had an incompetent president. And because of a crooked election, millions of people are dead. And by the way, the Israeli thing was much harder to get settled because of the past administration. Okay? Rest. Enjoy yourself.
See that left eye?
Your boss. And I'll see you guys, right? Good.
Sir, before you go, can you tell us about your conversations with President Zelensky? Did you talk about
We had a very good conversation this morning and yesterday. And he basically would like to, as you know, we are not sending any weapons. We're sending them to NATO, and NATO is paying, which is a big difference between Biden and Trump.
Yeah, it's one more stop of a difference. That's all it is. One more stop of a difference from fucking that guy. Instead of going directly to them, which would be much more expedient, much more beneficial to both, we're going to send it to NATO, and then NATO's going to somehow, then we're going to send it to them, and then we're going to go back and forth in this whole fucking rigmarole, just so we can say that we're not directly sending weapons to Ukraine. Like, it's getting us anywhere with Putin, right? Like, that's getting us some like brownie points somehow with Vladimir Putin. He doesn't seem to give a shit whatsoever. He just continuously talks about escalations and tomahawks. Doesn't seem to be buying you any, again, any talking points or any room to wiggle, any wiggle room in this. So I don't know why he continues to say that and prop that up like it's a fucking, like it's some important part of this whole thing. All right, let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, and if not, we'll head on to Tim Pool's dumbass. We'll head on to Tim Pool's dumbass to see what he's got to say about this nonsense. All right. And again, let me know in the chat, because it's tough while I'm on the show if anything has been like updated or reported or any breaking news goes on while I'm on. It's kind of hard for me to kind of, pick up on that. So if there's anything going on with what I'm talking about, any updates or any, clarifications, corrections, anything like that with what is being talked about, please, drop it in the chat, and we'll see if we can get, the accurate and most up-to-date information out to you guys. Because obviously that's what I want you guys to hear, and that's what I want you guys to be the most up-to-date and informed. But all right, I think that was all I had to cover. There was, let me see, I'm going to go to just one more before I dive into Dim Pool. Let me just make sure there wasn't anything else that I wanted to cover. Because like I said, I try to get into, there was. I knew there was. Where did I put it? Because there was Sean Duffy trying to threaten the No Kings protest. And again, he's not the only one either, but let me see if I can find... Let me see if I'll just type in Sean Duffy and let you guys hear what he had to say if you didn't hear it already. Because again, I think he thought he was like trying to bring the pain down on us, but all he did, here you go. Here he is right here. So let me put this on the screen, share this tab instead for you guys. Stop. I'll put this at the beginning. This is Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy accuses every American who plans to peacefully demonstrate in No Kings protest this weekend of being paid protesters and part of Antifa. In reality, millions will protest against Trump for free. This is posted by Trump Lie Tracker. But I think this is going to have the opposite effect. Right. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to label everybody as domestic terrorists. He's trying to make it so that like any force necessary is justified. Right. But what he's doing is just in reality making Antifa look so much more powerful. Right. And so much bigger of a group than it would be or would be thought to be originally. Like, and now he's given us millions and millions and millions of dollars in funding. Like, everybody that's out there right now is going to be paid. So not only does Antifa now have, I don't know, however many millions of people will be on the streets on the 18th for the No Kings protest, we have all of those people in our ranks. Not only that, but we also have enough money in our coffers to pay all of those people. Now, is that going to send a good signal to Republicans? Is that going to send like a signal that says we're weak over here on the Antifa left? Or is that going to say like, we better fucking watch out for these extremely powerful, well-funded, incredibly numerically superior group, right? It's kind of like he seems to be building us up, and whatever. But again, I know what his true intentions are is to, again, label and scare anybody into who's thinking about going out and protesting to not do so because of the possibility or the ramifications that you will be labeled a domestic terrorist or, be caught up in some violent situation because, inevitably the violence is always caused by law enforcement, by ICE, by Border Patrol, as opposed to the peaceful protesters, as we've seen time and time again. But let's see what Sean Duffy had to say here, this moron.
But again, the No Kings protest, Maria, really frustrating. I mean, this is part of Antifa, paid protesters. It begs the question, who's funding it? But Democrats want to wait for a big rally of a No Kings protest, when the bottom line is, who's running the show in the Senate? Chuck Schumer's not running the show. The No Kings protesters or organizers are running the show. Is AOC threatening a...
Wait, whoa, because I'm pretty sure that every Republican in the Senate and the House has been on TV over the last, 13 days of this government shutdown to say that Chuck Schumer is directly in control and he is directly responsible for this government shutdown. But now Sean Duffy here, the secretary, the transportation secretary, is now saying that Chuck Schumer has no power. So how can you put those things in the same fucking plate? How can you have those things living in reality? How can Chuck Schumer have no power whatsoever, but also be responsible for the government shutdown? Like you guys with your incredible mandate, your overwhelming victory that you love to say you have. Now you don't need the help whatsoever of any of the Democrats. You can get through the legislation you want passed just with Republican votes alone. But all of a sudden now you need the Republicans. I mean, now you need the Democrats all of a sudden. Now you come crawling back and expect us to be like, oh, yeah, we'll fund your bullshit. We'll fund your stripping of millions of Americans of their fucking health care, right? We'll go ahead and, we'll back your fucking stripping of, Air Force veterans of their benefits because you don't like the fact that they're trans. Bullshit. Ain't gonna happen, motherfuckers.
Primary against Chuck Schumer. Is she running the show? But you need a strong leader in the Senate to take control and make decisions. And Chuck Schumer's blowing in the breeze. He has no power, no authority because he's given...
Again, reiterated, no power, no authority, and just saying, I'm not sure when we get paid. I am still waiting for my goddamn Soros check. I know I've moved a few times, so I don't know if that's kind of thrown off the address a little bit, but if that could get here as soon as possible, that would be great because I need a costume for the rally, and I need that Soros check in order to purchase one. But again, this is Sean Duffy trying to label everybody that is going to be protesting Donald Trump's egregious actions on this No Kings protest as a domestic terrorist, as an Antifa terrorist. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Speaker Johnson also. Let's see. What's his name? Fucking Johnson. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Speaker Johnson. Mike Johnson. Let's see what he had to say. Antifa, no kings. See if that brings it up. Because I think he also had something similar to say, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Johnson, federal agent. Let's see here. To gain favor in the future. Yeah, here it is, I think. Right. Let's take a look at this one. Because I think he's just kind of reiterating the same of Sean Duffy's bullshit talking points here.
Season because of this nonsense, and we're so angry about it. I mean, I'm a very patient guy, but I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the national.
A Hate America rally, is that the name? Shit, I didn't know when they changed the name. I thought it was a No Kings rally, but apparently it's been changed to the Hate America. Yeah, Grinding Mike. What up, Grinding Mike? He looks like AI in this one, not gonna lie. But this Hate America. Let's hear more about this Hate America rally that's supposedly taking place, ladies and gentlemen.
Right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out. Some of the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event. And it's being...
Do those T-shirts, do they say hate America? Do they say, oh, we hate America, or fuck America? Or do they say anti-ICE? Or do they say run fascist run? Or do they say something along those lines? What do they say, Mike? Do they say let's hate America? Do they say fuck America? Or do they say probably no kings? Something about Donald Trump and his policies, or something along the lines of what's going on politically in this country, as opposed to, again, hate America.
And told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business hurting real people. And I'm beyond words. I can't believe they're actually doing this.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Settle down, Chief. If you get too excited there, you're going to set off your alarm and your son's going to have to come running in to fucking calm you down, if you know what I mean. But you can tell how they're trying to play this up. They're trying to label everybody as Antifa terrorists. But again, all they're doing is giving us seemingly more power, right? They're giving us more funding. They're giving us all the power in the world to, again, apparently not only shut down the government, but also, take to the streets in some sort of, I don't know, a military faction. They'd love to, they cannot stop, but they cannot help themselves. But again, bestow more power upon us. But what do you say we get into a little bit of this Tim Pool video again, saying that Israel war is over. And giving Trump the standing ovation from his knees that, again, Tim Pool thinks he deserves. And again, I don't know how much of this we'll get into, and then I can get into thanking people that sent in a Venmo, thanking people that sent in either a super chat, super sticker, gave out memberships, hit a milestone. I'll make sure to give you guys all a shout out at the end of this, but I appreciate it. If there's anything else you guys think I should be hitting, let me know. All right, let me see if we can get into this idiot. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? There he is. All right. Share this tab instead. Put this moron on the screen. There he is. There he is. Again, does this kid ever change? Like, God damn it. I'd hate to get a whiff of the inside of that fucking beanie. All right, let's see how much praise he's willing to bestow upon Donald Trump for, again, a peace deal that is not finished yet. A deal that we haven't even made past phase 1 without apparent violations to the ceasefire, without more death and destruction since the ceasefire been signed. We haven't even gotten that far, but yet, again, Fox News, Tim Pool, OAN, Newsmax, RSBN, and even some mainstream media that would consider themselves even more left-leaning are ready to, again, praise Donald Trump, give Donald Trump credit for a deal that has not happened yet, a peace that has not happened yet. And again, I find it incredibly fucking ridiculous that people are so willing to give Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government the benefit of the fucking doubt with what we've seen happen in the past with both of those fucking two. All right, so let's see what Tim Pool has to say here.
Declared the war in Israel over. Hamas has released all 20 remaining living hostages, and Israel has begun to release around 250 Palestinian prisoners that they have.
Wait a minute. 250? Hold on. Wasn't it like 2,000? Am I getting that? Was I getting that number wrong, or is Tim getting that number wrong? I thought it was something like 900, 1,900 and change or something like that. Do you guys, am I getting that number wrong, or is Tim getting that number wrong? Where is he getting this 250 number? Let me see. I'm trying to look it up in the background. This says Hamas frees Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners under Trump's Gaza ceasefire deal. Generations. Let's see here. Hamas handed over all 20 surviving hostages. The remaining Israelis were exchanged for 1,900 Palestinian prisoners after being held in the tunnels of Gaza for more than 2 years. These remaining Israeli hostages were exchanged for over 1,900 Palestinian prisoners. So where Tim's getting this fucking 250 number, I don't know. Unless he's just kind of obfuscating to make it seem like the disparity in number isn't that big when it is. I'm not sure, but it's way more than 250. Oh, hold on.
Received a standing ovation in the Knesset as politicians in Israel celebrated this tremendous victory. However, those deeply critical of Israel do not see this as a victory, criticizing Donald Trump's speech as he's called for the pardoning of Benjamin Netanyahu, praising Israel first, but more importantly, many of those critical of Israel are saying Israel decimated Gaza, wiped out the assets, belongings, and homes of so many people. To just declare the war over now is to say Israel has won this and will not face any penalty for what they have done in Gaza.
Right. Something that everybody should have a huge fucking problem with, right? Everybody should have a huge problem with. And again, anybody that's America first or claims to be America first should also have a problem with this as well. Let me see if I can. Oh, assholes. Where is it? Get out of here. How do I get that out? Maybe later? Maybe later. All right. U.S. to send 200 troops to Israel to monitor Gaza ceasefire. Now, what did we say about putting militaries in close proximity to one another, right? What did we say about, what did Donald Trump say about not sending our troops into foreign engagements? What did Marjorie Taylor Greene claim to be American first and that we should stay out of and definitely keep American boots off the ground in these different conflicts, right? Like, what would happen if, God forbid, an American soldier is blown up with a fucking landmine, or some accident happens? Like, the potential for this thing to kick off at far worse than it was before has just been amplified, in my opinion, right? So anybody, again, that claims to be America first, that's in the chat or is going to watch this later, that is MAGA, do you like the fact that we're now sending you 200 U.S. troops to basically play police in this and help monitor the ceasefire in Gaza? Because this was a few days ago, and if they're already there, seems like they're not doing a great job already of keeping the peace in this ceasefire when 6 Palestinians have already been killed. The U.S. military will establish multi-international task force in Israel known as Civil Military Coordination Center, which is likely to include troops from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the UAE. One senior official said no U.S. forces will enter Gaza, adding that the American role was to create a joint control center, which will integrate the multinational forces going in. The Israeli government has approved the first phase of the Gaza deal with Hamas, which has led to a ceasefire and the release of the hostages, as we know. But let's see if I can actually, if you'll indulge me, let's see here. Gaza 20-point peace plan. Let's see if this kind of gives you does this give you the 20 points listed kind of bullet point style? Let's see here. Gaza peace plan, Hamas, the immediate plea into those are all different ceasefires. Here we go. Here's the outline. So I think it was 13, if I'm not mistaken. Hamas and other factions agree not to have any role in governance in Gaza, directly or indirectly or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and to peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. Again, that does not in anywhere say that the IDF will have full and complete control of going back in and destroying these tunnels, which was said by the Israeli defense minister, which is why I pointed that out. A lot of people have said, well, destroying the tunnels is in the deal. Yes, it is, just not by the IDF, right? So again, we can go over and anybody can look at these, the 20 points that need to be hit here in order for this to happen, and and talk about the phases. But the second phase, again, that one that we were just looking at, the demilitarization, what's going to happen with Hamas, the allowing them basically amnesty to free passage to countries of their choosing. Like a lot, who's going to govern? This is not, again, all agreed upon stuff and stuff that are huge sticking points in this agreement, and whether or not this ceasefire is going to be something that is going to be long lasting, or this peace is going to be long lasting, or if this is going to be, again, just a flash in the pan, just like all of these other different ceasefires. November 2023, January 2025, February 2025, March 2025, September 2025, right? You can talk about Israel going back on their ceasefire with the multitude of different countries, right? It's not just this one as well. So again, let's get back to Tim Pool just to kind of reiterate how stupid he is to think and to just accept what is being told to him by this administration and accept that as fact is just, again, another reason why you should not be listening to Tim Pool or getting any information or news from Tim Pool.
You can't have it all, I suppose. Despite this being good, in my opinion, at the very least, that the war is over, there are always going to be people who are very, very angry. Now, those who are pro-Israel are very critical of these people. Of course, this is the way things go, saying that, hey, look, the fighting is stopping. The hostages are getting released. Why aren't you celebrating? Not only are the hostages being released, but Israel's agreed to give up some 10 times or more individuals they have in captivity. Because
we're not celebrating because we're not stupid, right? We are celebrating, as I've said a multitude of times in this very podcast. I am very happy. I am very fucking pleased. It is very heartwarming and good to see these hostages on both sides, the prisoners being brought back into their life, like being brought back and being able to see their families. Like nobody can, I don't think anybody could say that's not a good sight to see, or it's not something that we've been wanting or asking for a long time now, right? Our unwillingness is to, again, consider this totally over, this whole thing as in the bag, and that is something that is almost a guaranteed peace now, and that, basically everything from here on out is just kind of, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, when, again, nothing could be further from the truth. When we're already hearing about violations to the ceasefire, we already know about huge points of contention as far as the phases are concerned and who's going to be governing and the demilitarization of the area and Hamas. Like, these are huge fucking points that still need to be hashed out, talked out, figured out. And we're nowhere near that. We haven't even come to that point yet. We can't even come to the end of the hostage exchange without Palestinians being killed, right? So again, that's why we're not, again, showing this overwhelming excitement for again, the end of hostilities, and are so convinced, like you guys are, that this is the end of all of it. I'm just not.
My friends, this is deeper than just...
And this is going to that story, right, where even if the withdrawal by the IDF does take place, like, hold on, let's see if I can pull this up. IDF to keep, because I think it still allows them like 60% of the territory. Not only that, but the best and most fertile of the territory in that area. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Under a time constraint. Not interested. Not interested. Let's see here. I don't know if they show the picture. Let's see. This was 5 days ago. Israel Security Cabinet approves plan to capture Gaza, Israel's officials say. You can pull these up with the, with the lines that were drawn as well in the area that, let me see. I think it's on, I think I can find it on Twitter probably a little quicker. Let's see. IDF, Gaza, control, peace plan. See if that brings it up. Let's see here. As a reminder, you have control of the majority. Yeah, this kind of gives a depiction right here. Put this on the screen for you guys. So again, this is just the initial IDF withdrawal line. This kind of gives you, obviously North Gaza, Gaza City, Deir el-Bala, Khan Yunis, Rafah in this area here. But just goes to show that even in the initial or the final withdrawal, it still gives the IDF substantial control of not only the territories, but also the, again, most fertile part of the territories. Let me see. There was one more thing here. The IOF threatens people of Gaza, want them not to approach the IDF. The IOF, this is the yellow territory. I think that was being discussed as far as the 6 Palestinians were concerned when they were shot. Again, multiple reports going back and forth on each side, blaming the other side. Let me see here. A quick analysis of the ceasefire does not impede Palestinian, I believe. It also does good. So this is the original, the coloring map that I was talking about that you can see here with the red, the yellow, and the blue in their lines of withdrawal. But again, you can see at the end of this, even with the final line of control, that they still control far more territory. I think it was like 60% the number that was being talked about of the territory there. Let's see here. I think there was one that described it in more detail. I'm not sure if I'll find it here. Gaza be demilitarized, prisoner swap exchange. Let's see. 17 to need. Gaza will temporarily be boarded by the police. International stabilization. International withdrawal stages to demilitarize the Trump-led economic and planned economic zone to rebuild Gaza and attract investment. So I'm just looking for one. It was kind of the one that described just how much territory and the fertilization, just what kind of territory that they were going to be left in control of, and that the Palestinians were no longer going to have access to, right? So again, even the final plan in this does not allow for fair and equal treatment at the end of it, even if we do see these plans or do see these phases agreed upon from here on out. But again, let's get back to this moron, finish it out before we run out of time. Let's see, it's this one here.
Just a regional conflict, an ethnic conflict. This is tribal, international, political, ideological warfare. And for many of the people deeply invested in this, they're never going to accept that there is a ceasefire or potential peace, or that Trump, Marco Rubio, and his team might actually put a stop to the violence in the Middle East. What I want to say is, look.
Oh, here it is. I
know it's deeply complicated.
I found it. This is what I was talking about. This aerial image from the 1960s shows that the yellow line of Israel's redeployment in Gaza is roughly matching with the borders of Israel's constituent, leaving Gaza without the absolute majority of its agricultural area on the fertile soils in the east. Right? So, talking about, I believe, this area here, which would be some of the more fertile areas used to obviously grow goods to sustain the population. But again, not being allowed after 85 to 90% of their entire territory, entire buildings, everything, all the structures have been destroyed. Is just again crazy. But again, it was signed, so let's put this back on there.
I know there are fair points being made on all sides, right? But Donald Trump is the president of peace. He may not be as successful as we'd hoped he'd be in Ukraine, but this is
bullshit, Tim. Bullshit, and you know it. Again, how can we say that literally, quite literally, while he's simultaneously conducting strikes on Venezuelan and Colombian fishing boats? He's killed over 20 fucking people, innocent civilians, as far as we're concerned, as far as we've been proven, as far as, we've seen evidence to suggest innocent civilians. That guy does not get the Nobel Peace Prize. That guy is not the president of peace. Regardless of how good it is to see this, these talks and hostages be released, like how good it is to see this, progress in this situation, how great it is to see, we're still not going to be fucking, propagandized and gaslit into believing that he's the president of peace, as again he's taking out innocent civilians in fucking 20-foot fishing vessels at will, right? Not to mention the strikes on the Iran nuclear facilities, not to mention the fact that he's conducted more airstrikes in his first 8 to 10 months than Joe Biden did in his full 4 years in office. I mean, the list goes on to suggest why he's just not the president of peace. He's lying about the majority of the wars that he says he's ended. Again, the list goes on, but it's just kind of silly to think that to think that we should give him credit for that. It's just, again, 100% pure gaslighting by Tim here. Let me see what else he says.
Is, in my view, incredible. Trump didn't start this conflict, but Trump is negotiating its end. And he flew to Israel. Now, currently, he's on his way to Egypt to solidify the final portions of this peace agreement. Now, it is not done yet. Despite many people saying, congratulations, Mr. President, there is still a bit more that has to be accomplished. So I'm going to go through the peace plan and show you exactly what
I'm looking for, because I really want to show you guys, and let me see if I can get Tim's ugly mug off of the screen just while I'm looking for this in the background. I'm looking for this because I really want to show you this clip and kind of get your reaction to it. Because I know on this podcast, I don't know if you're new to the podcast, but people that have been watching this for a long time know that I like kind of going across the pond or going overseas to look at the news coverage and how the United States is being talked about a lot of the time. And what I saw, let me see if I can find this, because there was a LBC, James O'Brien was kind of discussing this with one of his callers. And the way that he was talking about it was similar to the way that I was kind of bringing it up, where we were kind of, having trouble weighing this, where it's like, we love to see it. It's great to see. It's what we've been asking for. It's what we've been calling for. It's probably the best thing that we probably could have hoped for as far as, the release of the hostages at this moment in time, given the situation. But it's also, goes against and is hard for us to see, again, Donald Trump, just solely because he's the president at this point, somehow receiving credit, getting praise for all of this. But let me see if I can find this really quick. I don't know if is it a short that I saw? It might have been a short. Let's see here. Let's see. Alternative guys. Maybe it's this one. What? What's it say? VPN proxy detected? What the fuck's that all about? Why is it not? I don't understand this. Let me get out of this. One more time. Back. I'm pretty sure it's this one. But it won't let me watch it for some reason. Continue. Turn off your VPN. I don't have one on. All right, let me get back on this. That's not on. That's not on. That's not on. All right. Well, I'm going to have to go to the video. For some reason, it's not letting me play the short. It says my VPN is blocking the short. But that's how I'm going to have to show you. Maybe this one will work? No. Okay. Let's see if I can find... How am I going to find the video then? That's going to be the question. James O'Brien. Best deal possible. Maybe that'll bring it up. I really want you guys to hear this because I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys think of James O'Brien defends. Maybe it's this one. Play. All right, this will play. View on StreamYard. Can you see this, guys, yet? Hold on. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, my crying out loud. It's just not going to let me fucking watch it. Keep saying that my VPN's stopping it. I don't even know what that means. How could my VPN stop a video? All right, let's see if we could do this one then. It's not going to let me watch LBC. One of my favorite friggin' things. This will allow YouTube to locate the best what? I don't understand. That's something that I'm gonna have to figure out. Now, how can I watch that? Maybe it's on Twitter. Maybe it's on Twitter. Let me see. My apologies. I don't know. Like, I've never seen that before in my life. Let me see. James O'Brien best plus. Let's see if that brings it up. Let's see. I'm sure some of the folks would be dying to share it. October 9th. Maybe this is it. Yeah, let's see if I can put this on the screen. Share this tab instead. I think this is one of the responses, just kind of seemingly given some of his sentiment. I want your response. I want to hear what you guys think of what's going on and what's said here. Let me know in the chat.
If it wasn't such a serious matter, I'd be laughing my head off.
I don't regard Donald Trump as anything like a positive influence on this. He stood next to a person that's accused of genocide on extremely strong evidence and called him by his first name.
Nobody holds Donald Trump in lower regard than I do, but respectfully, you sound ridiculous. This is the closest. This is the closest the world has come to peace since October the 7th. I think by any viable or fair account. You've got the far-right members of the Israeli cabinet are furious to the point of not planning to support it. It possibly leaves Benjamin Netanyahu in the political wilderness. He could be in an Israeli courtroom by the end of the year. And you're trying to
this is prior. I will just put out that this is prior, obviously, to Donald Trump coming out and asking for a pardon for Netanyahu, which is probably why James has this this take, which is like, listen, this could put Netanyahu in a very unpredictable spot as well, because the right wing, like I was saying earlier, aren't going to be very happy that they didn't accomplish their goals of eradicating Hamas, pushing the Palestinian people out of the territory, fully regaining that territory for the Israeli people, right? So he's got people to the right, even of Benjamin Netanyahu, that aren't happy with what's going on, and I think that's what he's getting at here. But again, this just goes back to, let's not be unwilling to accept good where good comes at us because of our spite for Donald Trump, right? Like, that's kind of the main through point, where let's be able to accept some good when good is, again, presented to us, as opposed to, kind of denying what good is in front of us just because of our spite, or because of some faux recognition or, false praise that Trump may be getting for this situation. Like, again, I am more happy to see humanity keep going. I am more happy to see people return to their families, people being able to return to their loved ones, having the ability to, again, rebuild and continue their lives. I am more pro-humanity than I am anti-Donald Trump, right? If that makes sense. If that is kind of a way to explain that.
Reasons to criticize Donald Trump for literally dealing with
again, I just would like to reiterate, like he said, not many people despise Donald Trump the way that James O'Brien does, and nobody is as unwilling to accept Israeli propaganda in the IDF's bullshit than James O'Brien, right? So this is, again, just a different perspective from people across the pond, and again, it gives us good insight maybe, and kind of brings us back down to earth as far as, again, just kind of accepting the good that we're seeing, again, taking every grain of salt in every phase as it comes from here on out, obviously with the attention that it deserves. But again, let's not get lost in the sauce, right? Let's not get caught up in the weeds to be so unwilling as to recognize the good again that has come out of this at least first action of this peace deal, right?
Probably had to deal with to get any ceasefire over the line. How on earth are you going to tell Benjamin Netanyahu that he's run out of road if you're not having warm relations with him?
I certainly wouldn't have been addressing him on first terms basis.
So your problem with this process is the fact that he called Netanyahu by his first name?
Problem with this...
John, that's just nuts, mate. Just listen to yourself. It is one of the daftest responses to a question I've asked on this radio station that I've ever heard in 20 years.
All right, and I think there's one more, and again, I just want to kind of get your take on it. And I think there's one more. I found that relatively quickly. I'm not so sure I'll be able to find the other one as quickly. But let me see if LBC maybe have posted it. Bear with me. And yes, this is, again, the story at moment Hamas terrorists prepared to slaughter collaborators in Gaza streets as onlookers film public execution. So it's very prudent upon us to be reporting the facts and the information that we get from both sides on both sides of this as well, which I did report earlier in this show. In case anybody wants to go back and check me on that. But let's see here. Just want to see if they put any of that conversation on, because it was, is this one? Let's see. Let's see what he says here.
Your favourite UK PM. What about discussing the misogynistic decision? All
right, so that was just about Keir Starmer. Let's see here. Is this one yesterday? See what he says here.
Politicians. I think what was happening yesterday was an attempt by Netanyahu and Israeli politicians to massage Trump's ego and ingratiate themselves even more to him and to manipulate him about the next phases of the process. And that's why the speeches was and the applauses and everything was all about Trump. The standing ovation before he started, the applause after every sentence. And
yeah, and I didn't play, I won't going to subject you to any of that, but Netanyahu did go up and lay on the ass kissing, you know, the fucking buttering, the slathering of Donald Trump's taint on very fucking heavily. At one point, you know, trying to lay down one of this, you know, a cracker of a line about Operation Midnight Hammer and the fact that it was well named because Donald Trump brought the hammer, and it flopped. But again, the whole process, and we've said on the show before, when this whole you know, the strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities, and I said that Benjamin Netanyahu led Donald Trump right by the nose into this situation. And again, I don't know who has who by the nose in this, but it definitely seems like Donald Trump used whatever power that he has as president to, again, enact, to step in and to make sure that, again, Benjamin Netanyahu knew that this was, let's see if I can play this for a second. I don't know if I'll catch it on the right. I think I might already got rid of it. But yeah, if you go back to Donald Trump's moment on Air Force One, where he's asked, you know, what's your message to Netanyahu, not really saying that the war is over. He says, it's over. It's over. It's over. Again, you know, trying to send Netanyahu a message, I believe. But let's see just what else he has to say in this one.
The speeches they made before him of his nomination for the Israeli Award for the Nobel Peace, and even them demeaning other American presidents and politicians who have stood with Israel and have defended Israel militarily and diplomatically all this while.
So I mean, that I hadn't thought of that. So, you know, Biden facing pretty clear criticism for not having exerted sufficient pressure on Netanyahu to get him to sign up to this deal when it was on the table last September.
Yeah, it was.
And then they attacked Biden.
Mm-hmm. And also Obama, they were saying you are not just another American president, one of the speakers said, meaning that other American presidents were just insane. American presidents.
No, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane because this is what you're saying is that they have the president who has stood up to them is the one that ends up getting the tribute.
It came to
Right. See, that's exactly, and that's the fucking point. And he seems to come to that you know, that clarification, that resolution there, where it's like, and we've been saying that, and I've been saying that the president that puts his fucking foot down, or at least seemingly fucking acts, or at least has the illusion of putting his foot down in this situation, is going to get the praise, is going to get the fucking the recommendations or the spotlight or the highlights in this, right? And not the person that tried to kind of pussyfoot and kind of, we're sending you weapons, but we're going to say don't do this, but you're not actually going to listen to us. We're going to come up with a peace plan, and then 10 hours later, you're going to say that peace plan is shit, but we're going to continue sending you weapons, and we're standing with you. We're 100% with you, and we're unwilling and unable to speak to Hamas. We don't want to sit down at the table, which again, credit where credit is due. What's going on now actually brought and somebody sat down with Hamas and actually talked face to face with them, which again didn't happen before. And so it's crazy that all you needed was to show a little fucking backbone, to show a little force. And again, people were they wanted to give you credit. They wanted to see this end. They want to see the president of the United States act like the president of the United States and stop a genocide, especially when your weapons are directly funding and going to, increase that genocide. So it's like, it's crazy, and it's fucking, now we're all like, we're all mind fucked here because this asshole, again, with blood on his hands, Donald Trump with blood on his hands, absolutely allowed Netanyahu to get away with murder, absolutely allowed this to continue well longer than he needed to. But again, because sometime he put his foot down, or at least has seen by the world, or by seen by the the broader media to have put his foot down with Netanyahu. Regardless, again, whether that's because of corruption, whether that's because of incompetence, or whether that's because of how selfish he is and how much praise he wants, is pretty much fucking irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant. And that's what pisses me off. That's what fucking pisses me off, is the fact that we had this ability. We had the fucking option. We had the time and the power to have this victory under our belt so that the Democrats could continue to be seen as the party of peace, the party of humanity, the party of decency, the party that recognizes, an egregious act, a fucking, an emergency, the plight of different people when we recognize it around the world. But we failed in that mission. We failed in that mission, and we failed fucking terribly. And unfortunately, we're now paying the price for that because this asshole is seemingly going to reap the rewards and the credit for something that he seemingly has absolutely not much care or involvement in, right? Besides signing his name, getting the spotlight, talking about how he deserves a peace, the Nobel Peace Prize. And again, well before even phase 2, we haven't even gotten out of phase 1 yet. I'll remind everybody, haven't even gotten out of phase 1 yet, and we're already talking about dead people on both sides. We're already talking about violations to the ceasefire, which just goes to show you how difficult it's going to be just to continue this ceasefire. Never mind get to phase 2, 3, 4, and whatever else has to be talked about. But I appreciate you guys. Let me bring in everybody that was kind enough to send in a Venmo. You guys are amazing. I do appreciate you as well. And, anytime that we disagree or we have opposing views, I appreciate you guys, hashing it out, telling me your side of it, listening to my side, and then we kind of come together in agreement. I don't want you guys always to not believe what I say, but always to agree with what I say. That's ridiculous. If you agree with somebody 10 out of 10 times, you got a friggin' problem. It's your problem. You don't typically agree with anybody all the time. So I appreciate you guys for sticking in there. Let me bring up the Venmo so I can thank you guys. But I don't think anybody can dispute anything that I said, really, to tell you the truth. You may not like it. It may not be what you want to hear, but I don't think that anybody could really dispute that as being the truth of the reality and what we went through. All right, so let me just see here if I can. So it was, thank you Teague, thank you Jenny Faye so much, thank you Dame, thank you Moms, thank you Nicole, thank you Dame again, thank you Nancy, Thomas, Nancy, James, Roxanne, Allison. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate you guys. Now let me make sure I give a shout out and a highlight to everybody over here on the old YouTubes. Oh, you guys have been amazing. You guys really have been amazing. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. For the 10 gifted memberships, make sure you guys are reaching out and thanking not only Carol, but also Colleen for the 10 gifted memberships that she's tossed into the chat as well. Thank you guys so much. The shout out to both of you. I appreciate that. What's up, Tom? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, my man. Congratulations.
Netanyahu's speech.
We
Jim.
missed you as well. We appreciate you. We hope all is well. Let us know if you need anything. Fantastic to see you back in the chat, dude. I appreciate that. Shout out Colleen again. Got my frog hat and green jacket along with the sign for Saturday's No King peaceful protest in Omaha. Way to go, guys. Now, that's another thing. Maybe send in on social media, tag me in like your costumes or your signs that you're going to be made, and we can get those reposted and, kind of get the momentum build. I know we got a ton of momentum already, but we'll see if we can make that even greater going into our, going into the 18th on the North Kings rally, because, we need all the people, all the momentum, all the signs, all the fucking costumes that we can get. Sorry, I'm sweating to death in here. But I appreciate you, Colleen. I appreciate that. Thank you, Babyface Finsta. Let's go. I can't wait till the Epstein files are made public. Same here, my brother. Same here. I think everybody's kind of waiting for that. And again, as much as these other stories can be seen as distractions from that, I think, obviously what's going on in between Israel and Gaza is much too important to just be considered a distraction. We can absolutely say that they're using it as a distraction, but in order, we just can't not report on things like that to say, like, we don't, just to consider the whole thing a distraction. It involves far too many people. I'm not saying that's what you're saying either. Don't get it twisted. That's not what you're saying. I know that. But, for anybody else that kind of, everybody seemingly anything else that you talk about other than the Epstein files is like, oh, why are you getting distracted? Don't talk about that. Well, this is involving way too many people, involving millions and millions of lives. The long lasting, potentially the long lasting peace in the Middle East, again, as not as far as I'm, not hopeful to see that in this instance. But again, too much at stake, too much going on, too many people's lives not to report on what's going on. But we can also keep in mind the fact that Donald Trump and his administration will absolutely use this to gaslight and to the best of their abilities to distract people from the Epstein files and other things, ICE, the economy, all of that other stuff. So I appreciate you, Babyface Finsta. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad I got to address that, because I know other people have been hearing that too. Juice Box, let's go. Trump laws at Gaza now that Gaza is flattened. You know what? Again, I don't even know if he's going to get that far into the deal to even think about that, right? I don't even think, I'm not even sure that the peace plan will make it that far that he even gets to even remotely think about that, right? We're trying to get past the ceasefire at this point. We're trying to get past the hostage exchange and just get into fucking phase 2. And we're struggling mightily to do that at this point. So thank you, Juicebox. I appreciate it. Silly Willie, let's go, brother. Appreciate you. Congrats on 5 months. JD, thank you so much for the $9. Going right into profanity jar, I promise. Let's go, Emo. Vulcan, I appreciate that. Becoming a YouTube member, not only becoming a YouTube member, but throwing a couple fucking memberships in the chat. I mean, does it get any cooler than that? Thank you, Emo Vulcan. I really do appreciate that. And so does the chat. Ruben Michaels, I appreciate you. Trump is a terrorist. That is 100% true. All you got to do is, again, look at those recent strikes on the Venezuelan fishing boats. Again, the multitude of other actions that we could talk about as far as drone strikes, killing innocent civilians in those drone strikes, the increase from Obama's drone strikes, the increase from Biden's drone strikes and air attacks. I mean, he's just one-upped every single president that he's come behind. So you're 100% right, Ruben, and I appreciate you being here. Adam Berry to round it out from my buddy Don Keatic. What's up, Don? I appreciate it. Tell Dono I said what's up. I appreciate the $1.99, Adam. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate everybody that's contributing. Thank you so much. I know this is a difficult situation. I know this is a very nuanced and in-depth kind of discussion that needs to be had. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of players in it, which makes it very difficult to kind of predict what's going to happen. But, that's why I feel it's probably best just to report on what we can see with our own eyes and hear with our own ears. As well as what's gone on in the past that could give us insight as to what might happen in the future with the parties involved again, right? So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you for the doubleheader tomorrow. We got our 1:00 show during the afternoon, and then we're on again at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. So please make sure you're checking in both of those shows, or at least one. If you can't make the afternoon, check in the night. If you can't make the night, check in the afternoon show. I do appreciate you. Make sure you're getting out there. Stay loud. Stay proud. Find your nearest protest. Find your nearest rally, right? Get involved. Make a sign. Get a costume. However you want to do it. However you want to play it. That is totally up to you. Get some friends together, get some family together, drive in a bunch, hang in a group. That way you can kind of, keep everybody's head on a swivel and everybody can kind of keep everybody's eye on your back and watch everybody, because you never know who's out there trying to cause some trouble. But until tomorrow, keep kicking ass. Please, we got the momentum. Let's friggin' go. But again, don't fall for the bullshit of the mainstream media. This is by no means a finalized peace deal. This is by no means peace in the Middle East. This is by no means a victory lap just yet by anybody. And anybody telling you that it is, anybody trying to gaslight you and propagandize you into believing that this is, 100% taken care of, everything's all set. There's, again, a multitude of things that I showed you in this podcast that you can show them to suggest otherwise and say, hey, listen, then why is this shit going on? If we're, if everything's so settled, why are people still dying? So I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, you guys. And, just remember, even when it's good news,
bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
All right, so I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you later. Take it easy. Let me see if I can find this on the first try. There it is. Peace.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job! Get off my plane.
I am the chosen one.
Go fuck yourself.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. Revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Thank you, mods. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like on the way out, please. Subscribe to the channel. Well, at least I'm blowing somebody's mind. What are getting blown? Hold on 1 sec. I just got a pop up on my phone. You guys aren't gonna. I don't know if this is from just now. It says MSNBC Live: Trump to posthumously award Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Jesus Christ. Now, somebody said something about delusion. Now, there's fucking delusion for you. If you're talking about delusion, thinking that Charlie Kirk is in any way, shape, or form, responsible or able or willing or a proud or supposed to be a recipient of the fucking Presidential Medal of Freedom. Now that's fucking delusion. I tell you that right off the bat. Good grief. I'll see you tomorrow.